Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
And good morning, Kentucky. You are listening to Kentucky's Voice, the Tom and Bob Show.
That's right.
I'm your host today, Bob Scott, and I am joined with my very good friend and co-host, Tom Fallbush. We are here. Good morning, Tom. Good morning. We are here to bring some clarity, we hope anyway, some conviction and Christian common sense to the headlines shaping our nation.
That's right.
If you want to join in the discussion, we invite you to text us at 502-571-0970. Again, that text line is again 502-571-0970. We've got a jam-packed show today, folks, and everything from Washington finally reopening for business, hello, to Senator John Fetterman's fall and subsequent hospitalization that happened yesterday. And does it reveal something politically and spiritually that's going on right now in our nation? We'll also be discussing the latest developments in the Epstein files, the disturbing rise of socialism in America, and what just happened in Dearborn, Michigan, with a Turning Point USA college student confronting cultural and religious extremism that is for sure, obviously, taking root in our cities. Let's get it on. I'm going to ask my show producer, Daniel, to play clip 0.
So with all of that, I just want to tell you the country has never been in better shape. We went through this short-term disaster with the Democrats because they thought it would be good politically. And it's an honor now to sign this incredible bill and get our country working again. Thank you.
All right, folks. That, of course, was President Trump, signing the bill to get the country back in business.
I feel like I should be clapping there.
Yeah, that's right. The federal government is officially back open for business, making the Democrat-led, longest, and I can't say that enough, longest government shutdown in our nation's history. It was 43 days. And by the way, it did happen to cost our country $1.5 trillion.
Yeah, crazy.
Isn't that nuts? And after many days of drama, finger pointing, and political theater, Congress has finally reached a short-term agreement to help, basically get us going again. But, the question that we all are asking is at what cost and what did we learn from the latest standoff? Tom, what are your thoughts?
Well, it does seem like this, whoever is in office, whether it's a Democrat or Republican president, it generally seems to go that the president wins this battle. Whenever there's a shutdown, it's usually the Congress that gets blamed. And so whoever's, whatever party whatever the antagonist in Congress is, whether it's a Democrat or Republican entity, the president always gets away scot-free, because whenever the Republicans would do this with Obama or Biden or whoever, Republicans always got blamed, and they got very, it was almost like a dog that got hit on the nose too many times with the newspaper. They just whenever a dog sees the newspaper, they kind of whinge. So for years, the Republican Congress said, we can't do another shutdown. Oh my goodness, anything don't, because we got blamed last time. So maybe that maybe the Democrats will learn that lesson this time, because they never were in this position where they're the ones that enforce the shutdown, and so maybe it's just the president wins in these scenarios. So.
Yeah, and this was the second, the number one longest shutdown, as I mentioned, but the number two longest shutdown was, guess what? It was in Trump's first administration. Of course, it was led by the Democrats. We're going to talk more about what happened to John Fetterman yesterday. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more of Kentucky's Voice.
To Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
It was earlier this year in February.
Fox News Alert, Pennsylvania Democratic Senator John Fetterman was hospitalized after a fall this morning. It happened near his home in western Pennsylvania. Doctors say he had an episode of ventricular fibrillation, which is an irregular heart rhythm. The spokesperson for Fetterman says he felt lightheaded after the fall, had some facial injuries, but is doing well and is being kept for observation at a Pittsburgh hospital. We wish him well.
Yes, and we do wish Senator Fetterman well. He has been a very much an unexpected surprise, as far as what he has contributed to the conversation of reason. I never thought in a million years I would say that, but
that's right. Yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, he's basically a breath of fresh air, or just a breath of common sense in the Democrat Party. Because the Democrat Party has been taken so far left, it's been drugged so far left by its radical wing, its radical socialist wing, that he sort of still represents the sort of the mid-American, middle-class Democrat from the 1990s or something, and so. Yeah, but he's like one of maybe two like that in all the entire party.
That's
so,
right.
But anyway, but yeah, I hope he recovers and hope he does well. But I do think Pennsylvania is probably going to have a Republican senator after his term, because I just think Pennsylvania is starting to swing pretty red in its voter registration, and that's a good sign. So I think we probably only have a one-term Fetterman anyway, but
I would disagree a little bit, because he has shown himself. I hear what you're saying, because there's obviously a lot of issues that he takes a left stand on, but he, I think, has shown himself to be, for the most part, a moderate that can appeal to both sides.
True, and that does help you. Yeah, in a purple state like Pennsylvania, but I'd prefer to see a Republican in that seat, because they'll caucus with the Republicans, have more of a majority, because he's going to vote for a Democratic majority leader if he's in office. So I don't know. I think that could be driven home with the right messaging. And Trump won Pennsylvania. The registrations are up in Pennsylvania. I just wonder if Fetterman could win another statewide race in this climate. We'll see.
One thing I will say, and we were talking about it, he has called out the viciousness inside his own party. He's praised Republicans, for working with him, and he's become increasingly outspoken against far left activism. I do have another clip. It's from President Trump and Senator Fetterman. Now, they're not together in this. It's basically two clips that were put together, but I thought it was pretty good. And they're talking about the crazy and really true evilness that's going on right now with the far left. And I want everybody to pay close attention, for those of you that are watching on TV, to the facial expressions of the CNN reporter. She even looked shocked. Please play clip 2.
People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy.
You said, quote, I've drunk deeply of the venom of both the left and the right. As a connoisseur, I can confirm that the most poisonous, the bitterest, is from the far left. That is pretty remarkable to hear you say that as an elected Democrat. Why?
No. It's just been my personal experience on this thing. And when I asked my digital team, I said, we're on all the platforms. Really, what's kind of the harshest? What's kind of the most personal? And the answer was immediate. He said, "Oh, blue sky. It's blue sky." And the difference is, the right would say really rough things and names. Some names I won't repeat on TV, but the on the left, it was like they want me to die, or that we're cheering for your next stroke, or that's terrible that depression won. Why couldn't it depression won? And I hope your kids find you. They even have like the graphic, a GIF where they have like a stroke, in your head, cheering at that. Yeah, and they said that. I remember one. They claimed, "Oh, the doctor let us down, and why did they have to save his life?" Just really, I just can't imagine. People are wishing, I wish he dies, or I want him to die. Literally cheering for a stroke. And I don't know what the kind of a place where that comes from. That's much different than just calling me a name. That's really been consistent, in that community online.
Yeah, and what he said did leave the CNN reporter, who is very left. She was visibly shocked, about that. And Tom, how surprising in your mind?
Well, it's a pattern. You see this, those that have been traditionally liberal, just a traditional American liberal, those of you grew up with in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, those folks, the boomer Gen Xer liberal, right? They have been totally shocked by this far left takeover of their party and of their movement. And he's a good example. Bill Maher's a good example. Look at all these former liberals that are on the MAGA now, like Tim Pool to what's the guy that there's another guy that does this on YouTube. Anyways, a lot of these YouTubers that used to be liberals. Some are even like wide open gay people. It's like they're too radical for me. And so it just shows you how. So I guess if there's one benefit to the far left being the far left and being as radical as they are starting to ostracize people that used to be their allies and started and bringing them over to their. I don't know how many people I've heard or heard interviewed that listen. I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what's happening to Fetterman. It's like the Democratic Party is certainly left. They want him dead. We don't want him dead. We just want his ideas defeated if they're far left ideas. But they and Bob and I think you and I will resonate with this because we're both spiritual people and Christians and sensitive to sort of spiritual things. The far left is driven by some dark forces. It is demonic in nature, right? And so a lot of people say, well, a lot of these folks in these movements are just mentally ill. They're just looking at them. They're mentally ill, but they're also very, demonically inspired.
It goes beyond that, Tom.
Let's get right down to brass tacks. And if you don't believe in that stuff, you need to really just open your eyes. There's a spiritual reality to this world, and it can get a hold of political movements. And right now, it seems to be getting a hold of the far left. And it's destructive to the country. It's also destructive to the people involved. Because anybody that wants to wish somebody, death because they disagree with their opinions, anybody that wants to shoot Charlie Kirk in the neck in front of his family,
that's right.
that is not just mental illness. That's something that's very dark and evil and twisted. And there's, there's no way to explain that stuff other than there's a cosmic battle for our souls, and it's playing out in the reality in the real world in front of us. So.
Is it surprising though, Tom, that we're seeing this? I mean, from the standpoint, it is shocking. I will say that, but is it really surprising that we're seeing this moral depravity now going on when you consider that our school systems, for the most part, have been taken over from the far left? That's where we're seeing a lot of this stemming from is, obviously colleges. That's why Charlie Kirk had such a deep focus on college campuses, and he was going literally into the lion's den, and it sadly it cost him his life.
No, I totally agree. And I tell you, if any conservative listening right now, anybody that they're thinking, okay, they're thinking to themselves, what is the hope here? What is the future? What can we do? What is the one thing that is going to change the country permanently to kind of rewrite the ship? And that is stop sending your kids to these woke public school systems and woke colleges, because the left, they don't have children. Right? They don't believe in children. They either abort them or they live lifestyles where they don't have families. So they need your kids. And so they need your kids to indoctrinate and convert. And that's what they've been doing to our kids for the past 50, 80 years in colleges and public school systems. And we're starting to wake up to that. School choice is taking hold. And every state around Kentucky's got school choice. We're the last holdout. But so go move to Indiana if you want to get school choice. You can actually get paid to go to a private school. So all we got to do is just get our kids and get them away from these woke indoctrination centers, these secular seminaries known as public schools and colleges. And then the future is America's. It's conservative America. It's traditional America, because we're the only ones that have kids. And generally your politics follow your parents' politics. And
That's right.
Unless they go off to college. And everybody knows you've got somebody that some young woman that went off to college in your family, and they came back hating everybody in the family and calling everybody Nazis. You're a Fox News listening Nazi.
Very good.
College
Next
did
up, folks, we're going to take a look again at the Epstein files as they continue to unravel, and the names, accusations, and connections are more explosive than ever. We'll also look at what's surfacing and what's being covered, and why conservatives have the right to know the truth. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Kentucky Voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
back to Kentucky's Voice Radio online at kyvoice.org.
And you're listening to the Tom and Bob Show on Kentucky's Voice. If you want to join in the conversation today, you can text us at 502-571-0970. Again, we would absolutely love to hear from you. That text line number is 502-571-0970. If you have any kind of comment, please shoot it our way. More information has been leaking out and surfacing about the Epstein files. It seems like it's a daily drip. And once again, it's confirming what many conservatives have said for years. The worst corruption isn't just political, it's moral. It's spiritual, you can even say. And the people involved span government, entertainment, academia, and global power. Congressman Thomas Massey, he's my congressman, from our state, has his own theory. Please play clip 3.
There's 2 reasons he's flipped. One, his rich and powerful friends who've donated to him or go to his dinner parties. He doesn't want to embarrass them. And they may, in fact, not even be guilty of a crime. They may just be very embarrassed that they were having extramarital sex, with these women, for instance. So that's one thing. But I think there's also the intelligence aspect of this that goes even deeper. Maybe Trump is on one plane and he's thinking, I can't embarrass my friends. But there may be people in the administration who are career people who are thinking on another plane. They're like, well, let's convince Trump he's going to embarrass his friends, when in reality what we're trying to do is protect our sources and methods, which may involve sex trafficking.
Yeah.
And we don't want to embarrass our partner, Israel, in this time when the popularity for their war or support for their war is at an all-time low. And now we're going to find out that their defense minister, Ehud Barak, was documented with Jeffrey Epstein 3 dozen times, probably even while he was defense minister. He had previously been prime minister. I don't know that he knew Epstein during that period. I'm not sure how much of those dates overlap, but there are reasons that they want to protect them. There's reasons he's flipped. And I don't think his children or J.D. Vance or even Pam Bondi or Kash Patel were read into all that when they originally said all of this stuff should be released. I mean, if it's a hoax, what were those binders that Pam Bondi gave out? Was she just fueling a hoax?
And Congressman Massey does bring up some very interesting points. I know we talked about this a little bit on yesterday's show, Tom, but this is something I want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into in this segment. What are your thoughts about what he had to say?
I know he's probably right about the Israel thing, though I'm very pro-Israel, and I think even if Israel's caught up in this, still there's a noble cause, and the war was justified. And if America was attacked by a bunch of terrorists in Mexico and kidnapped a bunch of our citizens, America would have went into Mexico and leveled whatever
absolutely
city, that had that. So you can't have this double standard with Israel and that kind of stuff. So, but when it comes to their very aggressive intelligence service, which it is by nature, it needs to be.
And you're talking about Mossad, obviously.
Yeah, they probably overstepped here and had this operation going, and Epstein was involved in it, and that's probably so. There's probably some issues there. The donor thing, yeah, I guess maybe, but I don't know. There's something there that he thinks is going to be damaging to either the country or to the MAGA movement or his agenda, and so, or otherwise it would have been out by now. We can only speculate, but it looks like Massey's forcing the hand here for this stuff to be released. I think if they get enough votes, this can be released, I believe. So. We'll see. So I don't know. I'm very. Here's at the end of the day. I'm for winning and getting the country back in track. And I do think truth is part of that. And but sometimes tactically, you have to move left or right just for whatever reason. But I don't know. I still give Trump the benefit of the doubt in most cases, but this one I kind of scratch my head and going, "Are you sure? Are you sure you said you would do this?" And now it actually looks worse right now that you're not releasing this. It looks like you're hiding something, and so that's a negative to your movement. So what's worse? You look like you're hiding something, or to be, or maybe something that's in there that's that might be damaging. So I don't know. I'm still trying to follow all this and understand it.
Yeah, and you're right. President Trump, actually, he did run on this, and he made it a point of conversation. We know early on the administration, not long after he took office, Pam Bondi, came out and said that we're going to start getting to the bottom of this, and had files on her desk that she was ready to release, quote unquote, to the press, and kind of teased them a little bit. Actually, gave a little bit of something, but as it turned out, apparently it wasn't much of anything. That they actually got. But then you see a complete 180. That's happening, and Tom, what do you think? It really terrifies powerful people, powerful institutions, so much about the Epstein case.
I guess the characters involved, the people involved, I guess just being associated with it. I mean, if it is an intelligence operation and they're trying to use this method of blackmailing people or getting some sort of damaging information about them and using that as a leverage for future intelligence gathering, then maybe maybe that's what they're afraid of. It's like they've got all this damage and got all this dirt on me. I was in a bad mode 10 years ago. I went to Epstein Island and and now they've got all this on me, and I can't let that out or destroy my world, And so maybe that's the case. I don't know. Or there's another angle to this too. It could be that a lot of the victims that are implicated in this, they need to be protected as well. I've heard that's an argument that a lot of these folks are not having consent to have their names out there, and they got to protect the victims. So I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'd like to kind of understand it from a legal perspective as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd want to be a lawyer in this case.
Not in this case. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, maybe you would, because I'd say you would pretty much total up some pretty good fees.
Bob, here's another thing. Yeah, I think didn't Trump move Ghislaine Maxwell to a less intense or less secure prison or something?
Yes.
Basically gave her a better cell, like a more of a luxury prison. And that was Trump's doing. And so what was that about? So it's some weird stuff going on here. I don't understand it fully. And it, like I said, it's distracting. We shouldn't be spending our time on this.
No.
He should get through it. We've got a huge agenda to get through.
Yes.
We got to deport people. We've got to get the country economically on track. And we're caught up on Epstein stuff in Israel. I mean, it's just like, it is so distracting. And it needs, I'm just waiting for the Israel conversation just to die out. Doesn't seem to want to for whatever reason.
Well, you said it, and I'll say it again. It can be addressed, but Trump's always been pretty good about this. As far as being plain spoken.
That's right.
And not afraid to get up and say the difficult things, and he doesn't care who he says it to.
That's right. That's right.
We have a little over a minute to go in this segment. What does it say about America right now?
Yeah, well,
it's world decline.
It says that the right is anxious for some truth here. They want some deliverables here. That the Trump administration promised this. They were supposed to deliver it, and we don't have it. And so we should be rightfully upset. And also, Trump is singing off tune here lately. There's a few things that he said that are off, like the H-1B1 visa thing. He mentioned that to Laura Ingraham. He's okay with that now. He still wants 600,000 Chinese, students to go to universities. Which I think is
insane,
to prop up the university system, which is the biggest problem we have in this country. So let's keep them going so they can keep indoctrinating our children. So there's he's out of tune right now. And so, and also in the economy. I mean, we need to get focused on the economy. Great, you're a hero overseas. You're king of the world overseas. We love that, and that's great. It's exciting to watch that. But here at home, the people that are not on your team are really suffering, and they're blaming you. And so we need to win them back over. So anyway.
Well, stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with more Kentucky's Voice.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio online at kyvoice.org.
And welcome back to the Tom and Bob Show here on Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host today, Bob Scott, with my co-host, Tom Fawbush. If you want to join in the discussion, again, we invite you to text us. We'd love to hear from you. That text line number is 502-571-0970. And across the country, unfortunately, socialist ideology is gaining influence. It's not just in economic policy, but in culture and education, and really, honestly, how people view the role of government. We used to think it was something on the fringe, for honestly, the kooks, but is now mainstream, as evidenced by what we just saw happen in our largest city by electing a socialist mayor. Of course, I'm talking about New York City. And it also has happened, actually, now that I think about it, out in Seattle, same situation. They elected a socialist woman there. And it honestly is now leaving people asking, how did we get here? And how do we push back? I've got a clip that I've been anxious to share with everybody. It's from the late, great Charlie Kirk. He once again speaks a lot of truth and common sense to this event. This clip, in fact, that I'm going to share with you all has already had well over 5 million views. Please play clip 4.
What exactly about socialism do you not like?
Like the 130 million people that died under socialism in the last 100 years. The fact that every country that engages in a socialist direction becomes less free, less prosperous.
Do you think that maybe there's like a middle ground where you can have a little bit of both?
Everything comes at a price. The states that are the most socialistic are the worst and hardest states to live in this country. California, New York, Illinois have the most people leaving. Highest taxes, most social benefits, most social welfare, and they're leaving for states that are freer with lower taxes and more economic freedom. So everything comes at a price.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And again, that young man was just full of so much wisdom, and right at the top, he laid it out. Why you don't want socialism. The number one reason is lots and lots of people die. He mentioned they estimate 130 million people have died at the hands of this demonic, and I'll say it, it's a demonic religion. It's not a political theory. It's a religion, and they demand total adherence to it. You either bow down at the feet of the socialist Marxist, or simply put, you will be done away with. And in essence, that's what they did to Charlie Kirk. You know, he was speaking truth. Talked about it earlier in the Lion's Den, college campuses. The radical nutty left absolutely hated it, so their solution was to murder him. You know, your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, the socialist people that advocate socialism in this country say, well, there's a difference between socialism and communism. You're talking about communism, Bob. All those people that died. Oh, that's a bit crazy. Well, the USSR. USSR stands for United Socialist something republics, Soviet republics or something. So,
Yeah, that's right.
socialist is in their name. You look at every major communist country, basically they have socialism in their name. And so socialism is the overall theory and thesis behind communism. And so it's not like socialism is like one step towards communism, and communism is socialism. Socialism it has communism in its ethos. So it's you can't really separate. And at the end of the day, socialism basically saying the state has sovereignty over the individual's property, and so that it can redistribute that to those that it sees in need. And of course, the communists use an oppressed narrative to justify that, and so does most generally socialists. They're saying, well, there's a needy person over here, there's a needy group, we need to take away from Bob to give to Tom, and so it's just inherently defective. And you do have a whole group of young people that have been born or come of age since the Cold War that are clueless about what that was about the struggle that we've had over the past 100 years with socialist systems like communism, like fascism, Nazism. All that stuff was socialist. And they say, oh, Nazism's on the right. That's right wing. National Socialist. That's what Nazis stand for, National Socialist. And so it was just another version of socialism. Communism was just international socialism. Fascism and Nazism was just national socialism. It was both state-heavy, state-oriented, dominating your life, rearranging the economy, killing people if they were in the way. And so that's what we had to deal with for 100 years. And these kids that have been come of age since then have not been taught that history, because the people that control the colleges and the schools, they're left of center. They don't want to even go close to that narrative, because they still believe in this Marxist narrative that we can bring utopia on this earth if we just, they just didn't do it right. Mao and Stalin and Pol Pot and all these nuts, even Hitler, they didn't do it right. We will do it right. We're better.
Yeah,
we're a little better people than they are. We'll figure it out. Those idiots. But yeah, everywhere it's tried, it fails. And even what you want to call just more socialist light countries. That let's say Venezuela. It is a hellhole. Well, let's just say it. Everybody's leaving. I've got Venezuelan friends in my community now because they left. It's like for Cuba. I mean, why Louisville's full of Cubans? Because Cuba's been socialist for the past 50 years. So, but young people don't understand this. But let me say the last point. They are suffering because we've had a crony capitalist system, a corporatist system over the past 40, 30 years has not played to their favor. And so they are looking around for alternatives. And these socialists are saying, hey, we got this great idea. No one's ever tried it. Let's try it. And so, well, we've seen this.
Well, and you really honestly made it, you hit the nail on the head. The educational system has once again failed. To really explain the dangers and the evilness of socialism, and here, folks, let me tell you this. I'm gonna give you a little lesson here with regard to how socialism works. They're not basically doing a Robin Hood thing where they're taking from the rich and giving it to the poor. No, 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 no. They will take it from the rich, but they're going to also take it from the poor. And guess who they're giving it to? They're giving it to their cronies that are in power with them. That's the way socialism works.
That's right.
It's the political elite.
That's right.
That are within that benefit.
Win.
Nobody else does.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Has the church failed, Tom, in teaching economic and moral responsibility?
Wow, the great topic. Yes, they absolutely have. And the churches. Where is the church right now? It seems since COVID. You'd seen half the evangelical churches. They were kind of wobbly. COVID was almost like a stress test to see where the church is in America, and a lot of churches failed. And they did not stand up and speak out. Those that did are generally doing okay, but even they have smaller, congregations, just because a lot of people left church, just because we had a lot of cultural Christians that didn't show up to church, and now they could watch from home, or they had an excuse and they get out of the habit. So I don't know, whatever. Sure, yeah, the churches generally have not taught, against that system enough. And in a lot of churches, especially a lot of the mainline churches, liberal churches, they flirt with Marxism. They celebrate it. It's so you've got that going on. Then you've got a lot of the woke evangelical churches that are flirting with cultural Marxism, and so yeah, it's failed, and that's but there is a younger generation that is craving more traditional religion, and traditional perspectives and conservative perspectives, and we've got to lift them up and support them, and because they're the hope. Because I don't know, anyway, I agree. The church is
and that's right. The Generation Z, who is and surveys and studies that are coming out now is clearly shown that this is a generation, praise God, that has awakened and are getting back to moral clarity, with regard. And I think a lot of men,
at least the young men,
young men. But I got to say this: I have two nieces, young, very young, 13, 10, 11 years old, that are right there that get it, and understand, and that now they have great parents and that are absolutely helping them, understand, but they are their own free thinkers, and I think that's what we're seeing. I think the shutdown in 2020 opened obviously a lot of eyes, but I think most importantly that younger generation. We have about a minute and a half to go. Any more thoughts? With
well, part of that is too, Bob. Is just the people that are still having kids, because there is a demographic decline. We're having less and less children. I think there's about half as many Gen Ys as there were millennials, and which is just crazy. And so we're really having fewer and fewer children, and it's going to really impact the economy and a lot of things. But the people that are having kids are generally more conservative and religious. And so that could be sort of God's way or nature's way of sort of resetting a culture, because all these bad ideas that the left pushes, the end result is just less families, less people. It's death. A lot of it's just death.
Yes.
Let's just go out and celebrate all this lascivious lifestyles, LGBT lifestyles. It's all sterile. It's all death. And so, maybe that's what that's what we're going through. And so if we can just keep those kids out of these indoctrination campuses, the school systems, then I think we're going to be okay. But anyway, there we go.
So Tom, and thank you for your comments. And coming up, we do have a Turning Point USA student at Grand Valley State in Michigan. He takes a very bold stand during a heated meeting at the Dearborn City Hall, and it is exposing a growing cultural and religious takeover that's happening in the very halls of America. This is a big one. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
And welcome back to the final segment of our show today. In Dearborn, Michigan, at a City Hall meeting, this happened just recently, a Turning Point USA chapter president from Grand Valley State University in Michigan stepped up to really confront the mayor and the entire city council there. Basically, he's calling it out like he sees it, like it's happening. They're calling it an Islamic ideological takeover that's been going on, quite frankly, for many years in Dearborn. His comments did go viral, and the pushback was immediate. Please play clip 5.
Noah Mullins, Grand Rapids Council. I have the privilege of serving as the Turning Point USA chapter president at Grand Valley State University in Allendale, Michigan, and I have traveled home tonight to speak with you because of how disturbed I am by recent events in this city. On September 8, 2025, leaders of this city made their allegiance clear. Osama Sablani is a terrorist sympathizer, full stop. I speak on behalf of Americans everywhere when I say that renaming the corner of Warren Avenue and Chase to honor this individual stands against everything this great country represents. Americans do not stand by silently when Hamas and Hezbollah terrorists slaughter innocent men, women, and children. Neither does Mr. Sablani. But instead of denouncing these terrorist organizations like Americans should, he describes Hamas as freedom fighters and describes the former leader of Hezbollah as a hero. I was born in this city, and I no longer recognize my beloved Dearborn. On September 9th, Mayor Hammoud decided to add insult to injury and rebuke a Dearborn resident who brought to light this very issue. Mayor, know that your rebuke of me will fail to make me yield, and that you have revealed your true nature to all of us. As if these two events weren't enough, the city has also decided to not enforce their own noise ordinances by allowing the Islamic call to prayer from local mosques at times as early as 5:30 a.m. Men and women across America are waking up to the state of our city, and all eyes are on Dearborn. I'm a 22-year-old man, but I am willing to give all of myself, and even my life, to the defense of my land, my people, my Lord, and my future wife and children. My future wife and children deserve to live in a safe and prosperous Metro Detroit like I did growing up. If our region is to continue down the path of Dearborn and Hamtramck, what will become of us? Will our culture be diluted and erased like we are currently witnessing in Europe? The peoples of Europe are the siren call to us here in America. Do not let Islamic culture dominate our own. This is the unfortunate scenario we find ourselves in, but I am proud to be one of the many voices that will warn my fellow countrymen of this impending threat, starting in the city I was born, Dearborn. This city put the world on wheels and helped make the state of Michigan the powerhouse that it is. How then does it fall from such grace?
Obviously,
It's because we have
very brave young man
Yeah, way to go.
taking a stand. And he went on to talk about and compare this to the situation to Patrick Henry. I have but one life to give for my nation.
Yeah.
And that's, and I'm not here to attack Muslims. I've had plenty of Muslim friends down through the years. But there is an element in that faith and leadership, more importantly, such as the Muslim Brotherhood. They preach anything but assimilating. They want total control. That's why you see as a part of their flag the sword, and it's either assimilate and this is what's been taught, assimilate to Islam or
Submit.
die.
Or submit. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Or pay the demi tax. Yeah, I totally, Bob. I mean, this should concern every American. It's not like this is 2001, right after 9/11, where the average American wasn't really familiar with Islamic terrorism or understood it in a real deep level. Like, I remember I had friends at the time. They would say, "Well, Islam's really a religion of peace," because they were just just regurgitating what they heard off Fox News that day from the president or something. But we've had 20 years of this stuff, and we've learned the ideology of Islam and just the way Islamic culture can metastasize very quickly and very easily to something very hostile to your nation and culture. And like you said, the individual Muslim people, from some fine people, there are some fine people in that culture, very conservative people, politically, or culturally.
That's right. That's right.
However, you cannot separate their political ideology from the religion because it is intertwined, and so the religion calls them to basically reject a non-Muslim authority, and your goal is to eventually overturn any sort of political authority to make it submit to Islam, and that's their goal. And they're seeing, that's why you see these enclaves develop in Europe. That's why you see Sharia law, worked out amongst, these enclaves where they don't abide the local law. They just use the Sharia law courts and so it's wrong. It's wrong. And we need to push back on it. It's not that the average, average non-Muslim has a problem with Islam. It's Islam has a problem with you, with the average person.
Yes.
And so you can't just, so you have to react to that. And gosh, Europeans, the people in the West, we've known this lesson for 1,500 years. If you've looked at any bit of history, the onslaught of Islam onto the West has been the main narrative of Western history for the past 1,500 years, defending ourselves from a very aggressive Islamic culture. It was put on its heels in the past 200 years because of the West had its strength and its technology, but the ideology is still there, and it's vibrant again, and it's growing, and it's a threat to cultures when they allow it to come
And
in
that's
and metastasize.
really part of the caliphate and the Muslim Brotherhood agenda was to, and even lie, to assimilate from the standpoint of appearing to assimilate, to the culture. And we saw with Mandami's election as the new mayor of New York City, there were lots and lots of Muslims that were on the street,
right?
Praying and talking very boldly.
Oh gosh, let me pull up that video if we can do it. I'll find that video. That was crazy.
Yeah, and they were saying a ton of inflammatory things to basically letting the shield down, and basically putting it to where we could see for the first time, or at least a lot of people. I've kind of known for many years what the agenda was because I've done some studying on it, and But for those, I think there were a lot of Americans that were surprised, if not shocked, to see what is happening. And
I've got that
you know,
video. Just
yeah, go ahead and play it.
Just play it.
Yeah.
This is in Times Square, right after Mandani was elected. So all the faithful decided to show up and do a call to prayer. Revival in the heart of New York City. This is 25 years after 9/11. I'm tired of that audio. That stuff it's like nails on a chalkboard. So I'll just stop there. But
well, yeah,
it's just it's just a thought, and so there was a lot of preaching there as well. There's another clip where they're preaching like Islam.
Yeah.
Eventually, this city will become Islamic, and that's the right thing to do because Islam is good for people, and da da da. And so, granted, if you're of that religion, and I guess that's your job, just propagate that religion. You believe it, but the problem is that religion is very anti-Western to all of our key values. It doesn't. It's first of all, it's not true because I'm a Christian and I believe there's truth in the world, and the truth is Jesus Christ. And so Islam is just a cult of Christianity at the end of the day because that's where it came from. And so, but anyway, we can go down there rabbit trail. But yeah, so it's just wrong in so many ways, and you got to take a stand, folks. There isn't no in between on this. It's like, okay, is it okay to have Muslims take over your city and become a Muslim city, or is it okay, or should you push back on that? You're going to have to make that choice. And Dearborn made that choice, and it looks like they made the wrong choice, and it's why everybody's.
And we did have a text that came in, Tom, and I do want to read that real quick. Going back to our Epstein segment, the texter, and by the way, thank you for texting. The Epstein story isn't going to change anything, regardless who is exposed. LBJ was never punished for his sexual misbehavior or the disaster of Vietnam. Have we as a country stopped the gossip and conspiracy for our stooped to gossip and conspiracy for our daily ration of news? And that's a very fair question. And I know, again, we only have a little bit over 2.5 minutes to go in the show. And I do want to talk also about the Turning Point and what they're doing. We know that organization has absolutely exploded since the death of Charlie Kirk. And so much so that even, I know, Tom, the church that you belong to is opening up a chapter.
Exactly right. We're opening up the church's Evangel World Prayer Center is going to be the home of TPUSA Faith in this area. And so now it's not, you don't have to be a member of that church to attend that. This is just where they're just hosting it there. There's only 2 of these in the state. And so what TPUSA Faith is, it's another way that you can get involved with Turning Point. Turning Point, its primary focus was on college campus chapters and high school chapters, but they realized that there was a need within the church body in America to try to get them engaged politically and understand the issues that are going on. So TPUSA Faith is a way for churches and the average churchgoer, just non-churchgoer, just somebody that's concerned about these issues, can get engaged with TPUSA. And so they're going to have their first meeting on Monday at 7 o'clock at Evangel World Prayer Center, which is located at Billtown Road in the Gene Snyder. And it's just going to be an opening meeting, and it's going to be great. They're going to have curriculums that and Mr. Producer, you can put this up on the screen if you want. I've got a screenshot of that. But they're going to have some curriculum that you can start following and learning about, and great speakers they're going to bring in and events. And so we're really going to plug into Turning Point here with this program and this project and here in this city. And so this is the way you can be involved with it as well. So Monday, 7 o'clock, Evangel World Prayer Center, Turning Point USA Faith. It's its first meeting, and they're going to meet every 3 weeks roughly from there. So, Bob, back to you.
Yeah, and we would obviously encourage folks to get involved with this. You've been listening to the Tom and Bob Show here on Kentucky's Voice. I'm Bob Scott, and my co-host today is Tom of the the Tom and Bob. I do want to thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure and an honor to have you on. I want to encourage you, please stay informed, stay grounded, stay prayerful, and always stay bold in truth. See you next time, Monday on Kentucky's Voice.